So this started about a year in advance before, like a year before construction even started. What ended up happening was that I was looking for something to do for my Eagle Scout, and so I looked around, and there was many different small little things, and I was wondering whether or not they were plausible. And a lot of people that I was asking to, a lot of my Scoutmasters, they said that these may be a little bit too small for it. And then I heard that they wanted to revamp the old Eagle enclosure that they had Justice in right over around where they are having their new Hawk. And so when I mentioned that, they gave me another weird look, but it wasn't that it was too small. It was like, wow, this is the biggest Eagle Scout project we ever heard of. And so through that, we gone through a lot of talking, and eventually through the design process, we decided, hey, we have this great big space over here, so why not we just make our brand new enclosure? And that's where the design of the project came. Once I got it approved from the Eagle Council, what ended up happening was that Justice, the eagle that was here, he passed away and he died. So from that, luckily, the eagle was sent back to the government officials, and they found out that the eagle was taken care of very well and he died of natural causes of age and not because of any mistreatment. So they decided to give the zoo not one, but two new eagles. I know that it was a bit of a hassle on the zoo side in order to try to get a male and a female. And so you can ask them more about details about that. So if I recall correctly, the original price of the zoo, we were planning on doing it with wood. Obviously it's not wood anymore. The original price was $4,000, and when we decided to turn to a metal company, the price raised to $11,000. So what ended up happening is that I got a lot of help from my mother, who is a great fundraiser for the company that she works at. And from there, we reached out to a lot of different local businesses and a lot of people who tend to help out the zoo in times when they need donations. And through that, and through asking through donations around the community, I was able to raise the funds for $11,000. The part that I just really loved about this whole process was when everyone just came together in order to do this, when they finally saw that, you know, someone in their community was becoming an Eagle Scout, and they saw that this was a really great opportunity to do something really helpful. And so it was just great to see when everyone just sort of came in and did what they could to help.
So good morning, my name is Nathan Bazinet, and I have the honor of serving as president of the board for the zoo. And first I want to welcome all of you to you're our first visitors to the 125th anniversary year of the Zoo and Forest Park, our zoo. And volunteers are the backbone to your community zoo. Without their tireless work, much of what you see here today would not exist. Our buildings, activity areas, and of greatest importance, enclosures, stand here today because of the generosity of our community. Over the years, existing enclosures have been modified, expanded, and upgraded to meet the needs of our 170 animal residents, as determined by the strict rules and regulations upheld by the USDA and ZAA. And for those years, this space behind me stood in wait for the right time and the right idea to come forward. When Luke Duquette reached out with inquiry in completing his Eagle Scout project to benefit our zoo, that idea was, for lack of a better word, hatched. And we sorry. And we stand here today, the grateful recipients of his hard work and labor, both in time, talent, and securing treasure. So proudly unveiling our newest exhibit in this, our milestone 125th year. I would be remiss in not noting the significance of undertaking an Eagle Scout project to build an Eagle enclosure, a project that I'm sure no other Eagle Scout has ever undertaken. The uniqueness of this accomplishment is tremendous and noteworthy alone, paralleled only to the impact that this new enclosure brings to our organization and our community, as families of all ages come to visit and learn about our national bird, the American bald eagle. On behalf of the board of the Forest Park Zoological Society, I extend my gratitude to Luke for his hours of volunteer work and volunteer leadership, to his family and friends for their support, and to the many, many donors from our community who stepped forward and made, through their generosity, brought this exhibit to life. I invite you to join me in welcoming Jack and Ava to their new home, to learn more about their journey to Springfield, and to appreciate and acknowledge with us that this was only made possible through the generosity of volunteers in our community, volunteers like Luke. Thank you for joining us for today's unveiling, and I now want to invite Sarah Titzo, our Executive Director, to say a few words.
Thank you, Nathan. So I have to add my thanks for the countless dedicated volunteers who contribute their time and talent to our zoo every day. Luke, your vision and your effort will stand the test of time. Countless people, maybe even your own children someday, will come here and see the fruits of your labor. So congratulations and thank you. I would also like to extend my deepest gratitude to the East Longmeadow Rotary Club for providing the funds to fly the eagles here from Alaska. Since they are non-flighted birds, they couldn't make the trip alone, they had to come on an airplane. It was a long, expensive trip, and without the Rotary Club's generosity, it might not have happened. In addition, Chicopee Savings Charitable Foundation and Broder Campbell Fence Company were integral partners in this exhibit, providing financial and in-kind support. Finally, I want to recognize our dear friend and longtime zoo volunteer, Bob Runquist, who passed away very suddenly last fall. Bob designed the interior of this exhibit and built much of what you see inside today. Our staff picked up where he left off, led here by Emily Bauer, our curator, using the very detailed and intricate plans that he left behind. Now on to our new friends. Jack and Eva arrived here at the zoo in November after a long, arduous 8-month application process with the federal government. Both had spent about 2 years at the Alaska Raptor Center, rehabilitating from injuries they had sustained in the wild. The rehabilitators there determined that, due to those injuries, neither would be re-released into the wild. Jack, the smaller of the two, is that him there, Emily? I think he's hiding in the roost box. He suffered a fractured left wingtip that required amputation, which prevents him from flying. He also sustained a broken leg that had healed before he made his way into the Alaska Rehab Center. Eva was hit by a car, sustaining a right wing injury that left her with missing primary feathers and permanent tendon damage. These injuries prevent her from maintaining flight, and thus, like Jack, she's unable to survive on her own in the wild. So now, these beautiful creatures, the very symbol of our nation, have found a safe, happy, permanent home here together at the zoo in Forest Park. We are so excited to be able to share these magnificent eagles with the Western Massachusetts community. As you may know, the zoo in Forest Park has shifted away from the traditional zoo model to focus on education, conservation, and rehabilitation. This exhibit is a perfect example of how we plan to meet this mission moving into the future. So today, in celebration of our 125th anniversary season, we officially welcome Jack and Eva to our zoo family. Thank you.
When we heard that the club was always raising money and looking to support good projects in the area, when we had this opportunity to get these eagles, I thought it would be a great opportunity to see if the Rotary Club would be interested in helping support this new project that we were doing. And they were very receptive, and here we are today in front of the new exhibit, unveiling the new 2 bald eagles that we've received last November. I grew up on Florentine Gardens in Springfield, so the park, for the whole Forest Park, was my grounds. I spent all my hours on weekends and afternoons. I had forts. We rode our bikes through here. At that time, the zoo was sprawled out over the old zoo, where we had the monkey house, and we had the bear, the polar bear, and we had all the other animals around the side of the hill. And it's changed over time. The size of the enclosures had to be expanded. The type of animals that you could really exhibit has changed, and so we started out with a wide variety of all types of different animals. We've got our kangaroos and our wallabies on one side. We've got our camels over here, and llamas and alpacas are over here. We've got monkeys, we've got the leopards, we've got about 157 different species of animals here at the zoo.
That's awesome.
So,
Well, thank you very much.
thank you.
So wait a minute.
When that bird died, again of natural causes, but still for Luke, who was 17 at the time, for Luke, who was 16 at the time, it was a little hard. And then having to go through that and then figure out how to change the project, which I also thought at his mom was, even though it was difficult, it was a really good experience. Because as we all know, life is not always exactly what we think it's going to be. So to have this goal in mind, I want to do something significant, I want to make a difference here at the zoo, and then to have these different things change. The one animal died, and waiting to see until they were given clearance for the two. The site changed, the dollar amount changed, the materials changed. And so that was really actually a real good growth opportunity. And he had to do a lot of leadership. He had to lead the group here. He had to recruit volunteers. He had to also make sure this exhibit fits with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife specifications. So it had to meet those architectural specifications to be approved by the government. And all of that was a lot and a long process, but it was really helpful and educational for him, and I think that will then help set him better in his life as he goes forward to have been through this experience.